Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for my live reaction and player ratings live stream following Burnley 0, Chelsea 2. What a fantastic return from the international break, from the last international break of the year. It's a huge one. We couldn't have got it more difficult away from home, early kickoff on the Saturday. But we survived. We survived. We held firm to the challenge. And I'm very bloody buzzing about it. I'm really, really happy about it. Honestly, the beginning of the game was really bad. The first 25, 30 minutes were shockingly poor. But after that, we dug ourselves out of it. And defensively, I thought we were strong, which I was very happy with. You know, as much as we pretty much always win at Burnley, it's never as easy as it's, as it said beforehand. And it's not easy to keep a clean sheet against them, score 2 goals against them. I think we did well. I think we did very well overall in the grand scheme of things. Of course, we will dissect it in detail. But like I say, once again, coming back from the international break, many of these players traveling all over the world. Obviously, a few people getting rested as well, such as Moise Caicedo. Also, Estevao, of course, starting 2 games for Brazil during this international break. Got a first comment. Let's go. Another win after an international break. 3 wins in a row in the Premier League. Absolutely massive. Thank you very much, Uzair, for commenting. Everybody that is tuning in, please get involved in the chat. I'm here by myself tonight, wanting to have a chat with you guys in the chat. I want to dissect the game, react to the game with you. So here we are. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you, Uzair, first and foremost. I can't even remember. Did we win every game after the international break this year? Maybe we'll have to look this up at some point. But if somebody happens to know, let me know. Do you know what I mean? But obviously a terrible start to the game. But in the end, not much to moan about. Not much to complain about, if you ask me. Well, I say that. There's, sometimes I'm not sure if you guys have ever tried to talk to a camera on your own. Sometimes when you're trying to think, okay, what am I going to talk about next? What am I going to talk about next? At some point, your mouth just starts talking. And that's what happened there. Instead, nothing to complain about. There's a few things to complain about. And we will talk about those. But overall, in the grand picture, I'm very, very happy with today. Last one was against Forest. That was the last win after the international break, or that was after the last international break? Because we did win that one as well. That's what Uzair said. And Typo says, I hope we can squeeze a win against Barca too. And that's another reason why today's win and why today's game was so big. So important. We've got a huge week coming up. Barcelona at Stamford Bridge on Tuesday. Arsenal at Stamford Bridge next Sunday. So a huge week coming up. Obviously, like I said, it's very, very difficult to have to play the early kickoff away from home after the international break. Yeah, very difficult. But then when you do win, it's all the better because you apply pressure to the rest of the league very early. We jumped to second in the Premier League for now. We overtake Man City, obviously come to 3 points within Arsenal. We obviously play the North London derby tomorrow. So if they happen to lose, drop points, we get ever closer to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you apply pressure. It's not fun when you get there and beforehand having the early kickoff. But if you do succeed at winning, it's the best time to have played the game and win the game, because obviously we've got a long time to rest now until Barcelona. I say a long time. We played them Tuesday night, but say we would have played tonight instead of this afternoon. Less time to prepare, less time to recover and to rest. So I'm very, very happy. Uzair confirms, after international break. Ross, says Santos, great performance and happy for Guiu to get an assist. Yes, Andrey Santos was unbelievable. In my opinion, undisputed man of the match. Of course, I will try to do player ratings again nowadays, especially when I'm me, myself, and I. So we will get to that, but Andrey Santos absolutely bloody phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And Guiu, as well. And honestly, RC kind of chimes in on exactly that point. Guiu embarrassing, Delap, how it's done, bullied centre-back, had the composure to pick Enzo out when Delap didn't bother making a simple square ball to him. Well, not to him, but I think it was actually to Enzo Fernandez. You're right. When all alone. Yeah, I could not believe what I saw with my own eyes when Delap didn't play that ball. I don't know why. I just think he didn't trust his left foot and he didn't really have time to get a ball in with his right foot. Because he tried a cross with the left foot earlier in the game and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So not really surprising, but the lab not looking great. Now, don't get me wrong. He had a couple of moments where he spun the defender nicely and kind of started attacks nicely. But there was also at least double as many occasions where he just flopped about, lost the physical duel, or gave a foul away. Yeah, it wasn't brilliant. Barcelona and Arsenal next, as you say. Ross says Arsenal play us after Spurs, then Bayern. Might be a good time for us to play them. It's true, but obviously that game against Bayern is kind of a little bit irrelevant. Obviously for prestige reasons, it's big, but both are essentially through in the top 8, so they could rest players if they wanted to. But Uzair says Delap grew into the game. I think room for I think, but room for improvement. Yeah, no, he definitely did, but also, well, he didn't square it, and the cup when he took a shot when he could have squared, like played it wide to Gittens or Neto. That was later on in the game and not super early, but yeah, hasn't played a lot this season either. He hasn't, but I just I don't think anybody's having the biggest complaint at Delap himself. I think it's always the complaint that why is he our main number 9? He's not good enough to be our main number 9 now. Like, I think he's worse than Nicholas Jackson was when we signed him. Let alone is he worse than Nicholas Jackson was when we let him go on loan to Bayern Munich. So, yeah, it's a bit of an issue. But hey, we got the dub, so for now, the issue isn't costing us too much. J Cam says, Delap had a good 20 minutes, but other than that, he was pretty bad. Yeah, I would probably overall agree with that. Delap hasn't... Oh, I already read that out. But yeah, let's look at the lineup for today. Because I'm sure a few people were a little bit unhappy with a few of the things that we turn out with today. Unfortunately, Nico's hold-up play for us looks better than the Delap so far. It's not even close, bro. It's not even close. But yeah, this is the lineup that Maresca went with to start the game with. Honestly, a couple of surprises. Obviously, Robert Sanchez in goal. That was very much to be expected. Reece James as the captain, starting at right back. Cucurella left back, again, expected. Centre-backs, though, Chalobah and Tosin. That you obviously know Fofana. No, who am I forgetting about? Am I a mug? Which defender usually plays for us that I'm forgetting about? I am utterly baffled. I don't know who I'm thinking about. Who am I thinking of? Obviously, Badiashile is back now, and he came up on in the second half. And, you were kind of maybe hoping for him to start, or it was intriguing whether he would start or not. Josh Achampong, not really used, but is anybody missing? Other than Colwell, I'm a little bit confused. But here we are. You get the point. Guys. Yeah, Josh, I suppose. But yeah, so that's the centre back too. But yeah, I guess it's mostly just Fofana who's been left out. I think just with an eye for Barcelona on Tuesday, he is not ready for all these games. But for Barcelona, we definitely need him. So very much in favour of that. And in the end, it worked out brilliantly as well. Honestly, I think all of the back four had a really good game. Well, weirdly, I think Cucurella had maybe not as good of a game as some of the others, but there you go. Enzo Fernandez and Andrey Santos as kind of double pivot, but of course in possession, as it so often is, it kind of becomes more one of these. Cucurella kind of being the left centre mid, or CDM. Andrey Santos putting the midfield with Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez being higher. Maybe at times also a bit of a diamond again, like we have in some other games where Cucurella was kind of the left 8, Enzo was the right 8, and Andrey Santos the single 6. Maybe that is actually more quite accurate to how it played out in the game, if I'm being honest, but there we are, just playing it out for you. Obviously, if you disagree, guys, if you think we set it up and lined up slightly differently, talk to me about it. Tell me what you disagree with. Because we can always have a debate. But yeah, Andrey Santos, Enzo Fernandez, João Pedro is here twice. I don't know how this has happened. Why has nobody even told me this yet, guys? Come on, guys. Poor from you guys. Pedro Neto obviously was meant to put a right way, who did score, so we'll give him a little goal thingy. And who scored the other goal? Enzo Fernandez, of course. No, that's not it. So I need to give him a little goal here as well, which very much deserves, because played a good game. Enzo Fernandez did. Yeah, Jamie Gittens left wing, Pedro Neto right wing, João Pedro the 10, Liam Delap starting up front. Honestly, I didn't really think Reece James would start, if I'm being honest. I thought it would be Gusto and Reece might be kept fresh for Barcelona, but obviously that's why in the end he was taken off at half-time, to still be fresh enough for Barcelona, because now I'm pretty confident that he will start that game as well. Didn't really think Gittens would start. He also limped off for the England under-21s last week, so you could even think that he might have been injured, but he isn't, and he started, obviously over Garnacho. In the end, he even played the whole 90 minutes. He was supposed to come off for Estevao, but that was just before we made it 2-0, and then we just left it, which is also interesting, but I guess do what you fancy, do what makes the most sense. And otherwise, obviously, there's always the debate, does Estevao start? Does he not? To be honest, I thought he might start today, because I was, less so now, but I was 100% adamant and convinced that Pedro Neto would start against Barcelona on Tuesday. For the pacing behind against Barca's high line. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Barca play an insanely high line no matter who they play against. And I thought against that, Neto's pace will be crucial. So I was always expecting Garnacho and Neto to start as the wingers against Barca. But now that Neto played the whole 90 and Estevao didn't even come on, I'm now questioning that a little bit more. Maybe Neto does start. But what if Pedro Neto starts up front, actually? Delap doesn't play Barcelona. What if Pedro Neto starts up front and Estevao plays on the right? What if that happens? We'll see. What if Estevao himself plays up front? Have you thought about that? Obviously, then it's more likely that João Pedro will play up front than Estevao plays the number 10. But even still, we're going to do something interesting, I think. But yeah, overall, yeah, we rested Caicedo, obviously. That is kind of the big one. That is kind of the big... was barely there. Definitely wasn't there twice. Was barely there once. Very valid. Toasting is George of defenders. Maresca keeps starting him without any reason. Well, part of the reason is obviously experience, and he is one of the only experienced heads that we have. He is the only one that can remotely pass the ball out from the back, while Levi Colwill is injured. Badiashile, to be fair, a little bit, but Badiashile, well, just returned from injury himself, didn't he? So maybe not the most ideal. But yeah, what was I trying to get at? I forgot my own train of thought. My apologies, guys. Sometimes that happens. But I think is the George of defenders is a bit harsh. But I do think, like me and Pice in our podcast called Chelsea Unfiltered, new episode will be recorded later tonight. So we'll be out later tonight. We'll be out for you to listen to at the very latest tomorrow morning. I should be out tonight. But link is down in the description on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Check it out. Our last episode was from, Wednesday, essentially, because there was an international break one, hot takes, latest news, and we talked about actually exactly this. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. But yeah, check that out. Check out and tune in for the new episode as well. That would be massively appreciated. But yeah, let's bring up FOTMOB. Let's look at some stats. Sorry, so what are you saying, J-Cam? I hate being negative after a win, but Maresca, please just keep Gusto left back. Right back, you mean? Well, honestly, he nearly scored again, to be fair to him. When he scored his first goal last week, I don't think this is the time to really moan about Gusto. He just scored his first goal. Obviously, made one misplaced pass again in midfield. The standard Gusto misplaced pass that you cannot go a game without. It's unbelievable. But he nearly scored as well. So, I don't know. I don't think it's the time currently to moan for Gusto. And I think Maresca makes it very clear. Gusto is very crucial to how we play and how we try to attack. And he's very much an important player when it comes to that for our team. But I understand that obviously not everybody's a fan of it. And, the manager, the player, and everybody else needs to accept that as well. Now, obviously, here you can see the lineup, how these guys portrayed it. Like Enzo Fernandez, man of the match. Makes sense to an extent, I guess, because he scored, obviously. But let's look at the stats. This is the overall picture. In the end, we did have more possession. We did have significantly more XG with 1.6, 15 total shots, 5 of them on target. Created 2 big chances, scored 2 big goals. So, absolutely fantastic. But looking at the first half, to be fair, I'm interested because the first 20, 25 minutes, Burnley had like 70-odd% possession. We had no shots on target. What? They've just updated this, haven't they? No, they have not. What's just changed? Well, they've changed something. But here we are. So I'm a little bit surprised that we already had more possession than them in the first half and actually less clearly than in the second half. I do find that interesting. But the first half, the first 25 minutes, that just wasn't good, was it, guys? Like, I don't really know what we were doing. It just, you can see what happens when Caicedo isn't on the pitch. Like, without Caicedo, it just doesn't quite work that way. And it's not even a case of that his replacement didn't play well enough, because Andrey Santos was bloody unbelievable himself, I tell you that much. But we were just open as a team. We couldn't really beat their press. We were struggling to beat their press. We were playing a lot of misplaced passes to no man's land. Delap was losing a lot of duels. João Pedro was losing a lot of duels. And when Pedro Neto or Gittens had the ball wide, they weren't really managing to do anything with it. And then we were kind of just passing it around between our centre-backs and our defensive midfielders and weren't really getting anywhere. But Burnley kept pressing us. Sometimes we lost the ball. They kept being somewhat dangerous, but also not really, right? So that was the positive. We didn't really ever get particularly close to scoring. One or two occasions where they had half chances, but that was kind of really it, which is obviously a big positive. Like, this is, like, I know someone like J. Cam says, I hate being negative after a win. And I know you only mentioned the Gusto part, but for me, actually, there's not really much to be negative about a game like today. Like, even someone in my group chat said, I'll take the 3 points and a clean sheet after, even if the performance wasn't great. But for me, it's like, you can't always play really well. Early kickoff after an international break is a notoriously difficult game, for teams that have a lot of players out on international duty like ourselves. And to start the game badly, I mean, it's not ideal, obviously. You want to play better. We want to be on the front foot straight away. We want to get goals early on, obviously. But when you can't, and when you're realizing you're kind of struggling to get through and struggling to find your moments, what's important is to keep that clean sheet at the back and to stay solid at the back. And we were. that's what I was really, really happy with. Like all of them. That goes from Reece James, Tosin, Trevor Chalobah. Trevor Chalobah had such a phenomenal tackle on one transition moment from Burnley. Really, really good defensive tackle. Absolutely brilliant. Andrey Santos had a number of them. Cucurella, honestly, not as good as he has been in other games, if I'm being totally honest, but still good. You know, it's Cucurella. He's never bad. He's never absolutely bad. So I honestly think all of them did a good job. Okay, let's talk about this. You know, I'll bring the stats off the screen again. I'll bring the lineup up, but I'll make myself larger for a moment. Time Pass asked, what do you think about Palmer's toe fracture? Like, what was he even doing? I really don't know. I don't know whether it's quite fully the truth that Chelsea are telling us in terms of that he broke his toe at home, in his house, stubbed it on his door at night or whatever. I don't know, but, you know, let's see. I am at the moment still also kind of hesitant, but I believe the whole story that he will not play against Barca and Arsenal. Barca may be unlikely. You know, he definitely broke his toe, right? I'm just not sure. Is that how he broke his toe? Who knows? But Tuesday is maybe unlikely, but I think against Arsenal, I think he should be coming off the bench. I've broken my small toe as well. I've broken my toe myself before by stubbing it on a door. 2-3 days later, you're okay. Like, I'm not saying you're going to be perfect and you're going to be able to sprint and move around as usual, but to come off the bench for a 15, 20, 25-minute cameo in a huge Premier League game with painkillers and adrenaline, I think you're fine. Supposedly, we're also making him a special boot that should help the situation. But yeah, there you go. Mazza, hello, mate. Appreciate you tuning in. He says, so pleased we got the victory. Great to see good performances from the rotation guys. I completely agree. By the way, I missed this message from you earlier, Type. It says City versus Newcastle, Spurs versus Arsenal. Both are so unpredictable. I mean, it feels like I know who's going to win, but I don't. Yeah, honestly, for City Newcastle, I don't really have much hope for Newcastle. If I'm honest, City will win that. I'm pretty sure. Spurs Arsenal, they're obviously Arsenal the clear favourites, but it's a derby, so things can happen. Things can happen in a derby. So much as I obviously never want Spurs to do well, in this case, I'd rather Spurs win that game than Arsenal do. So that's obviously that. But yeah, let's get into these player ratings. You know, I'm kind of sometimes I forget myself that I'm now doing this again. So let's get on this. Robert Sanchez, there wasn't much to discuss for Robert Sanchez except one thing, and that is that he started the move for the goal that made it 2-0. And it was kind of a slightly dodgy kind of, you know, Burnley crossed the ball. Gusto tried to kind of just lay it back to Sanchez. And I thought initially was going to chest it back to Sanchez so Sanchez can pick the ball up. But then the ball kind of fell on Gusto's foot and he kind of just passed it back to Sanchez from really close distance. And then the Burnley player was also super close. And Sanchez kind of just super calmly, like no sign of stress or feeling the pressure of the opposition at all, quickly lays it off to the side. And then from there on, we started our move to score the 2-0, which was absolutely wonderful. So big up Sanchez. Didn't have many saves to make, but I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7 if I'm honest. Now, let me quickly head over to the stats. I can't constantly switch. I'm just seeing. He made 2 saves. You know what I mean? Didn't have a lot to do. 5 out of 18 accurate long balls. Some of them are poor that I wasn't too happy with. But overall, I'll give him a 7. I think he did all right. I think he did good enough to warrant a 7 and, you know, helping us start to move to score as a goal and keeping a clean sheet. What more can I want from a goalkeeper? So big up Robert Sanchez. He did well. I'm going to go next to Tosin. Nothing outrageous, nothing special, but some good passing out from the back that I was all right with, that I was pretty happy with, if I'm honest. Trying his best. He's not Trevor Chalobah. He's not Levi Colwill. He won the most duels in the game, though, which is pretty good going. You know, 5 out of 5 ground duels, 3 out of 5 aerial duels. It's very good. He completed the most passes in the match as well with 102 passes out of 110 attempted passes. So, honestly, I will give Tosin a 7 as well. I think he did good in the grand scheme of things. And obviously, Burnley barely created anything. So you can say our defenders did a good job overall, except maybe at passing out in the first half. But, you know, that fixed itself as the game went on and we were very solid defensively. So I don't think you can moan too much. Trevor Chalobah, similar thoughts. I think he was less decisive on the ball, but more decisive defensively. So therefore, I will also give him a 7 out of 10. I think that's pretty reasonable. Obviously, you guys tell me whether you disagree. A lot less passes, only 53 compared to Tosin's 102. But decent, you know, had a shot on target as well. Defensively, 1 out of 2 ground duels, 3 out of 5 aerial duels. I mean, tell me, guys, Sofa score rated Tosin 8 out of 8.4. That's kind of crazy, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm happy to push it up to a 7.5 if people are very, very adamant. But there you go. See, Grant, I am not sure. Like, my group chat was talking about this, and I was like, what are we on about? Because he says, thoughts on the ghost penalty involving Santos and Chalobah seems like something we'd moan about if it went against us. So, no, I do know what you're on about. So, essentially what happened is we had a goal kick. Sanchez had the ball in the 6-yard box and then kind of just passed it over to Chalobah. And Chalobah stopped the ball with his hand on the 6-yard line to play the goal kick himself rather than the goalkeeper. But obviously, Sanchez, the goalkeeper, did pass it rather than roll it or something. And I think there was a moment where in the Champions League last season or 2 seasons ago, Villa gave away a penalty for essentially this. But I'm not sure about, does the ball for the goal kick have to be on the line of the 6-yard box? Or could it theoretically be anywhere in the 6-yard box? Because if it has to be on the line in the Premier League, then obviously it's fine. Because, Sanchez wasn't on the line when he passed it to Chalobah, and Chalobah was stood on the line, kind of waiting to do exactly that. But yeah, maybe we would moan about it if we lost the game. At that point, it was obviously 1-0, I think. So a little bit questionable, but honestly, I'll be honest. Like, I understand your point in terms of we'd moan if it was against us, but I would like to think that I wouldn't moan about this, actually. Purely from a perspective, I like to just see a rational perspective on the situation. I think it was quite clear that Sanchez was not trying to play the goal kick. He was just giving it to Chalobah for him to do it. It was quite obvious for everybody. It didn't really affect anybody or anything. So I think even if the rule maybe is different, I'm not really... I think having a common sense decision prevail, I think is a very positive thing. And I think this should be the case much, 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 much more in refereeing, if I'm being honest. And I think it's a big concern that this doesn't happen more. But so maybe I think more Villa were harshly done by in the Champions League than us being lucky today. But I get your question though. Uzier says there might have been an opposition players in our box when Santos passed. There might have been, which means it wouldn't have counted anyways, to be fair. But yeah, there you go. I didn't look at that. But yeah, I'll give Chalobah a 7. And maybe I'm also thinking 6.5. Now, you know what? I'll give Chalobah a 7, and I'll give Tosin a 7.5. Why not? Why be? What am I talking about? Why is it 18? Why am I being stingy with the ratings? There's absolutely no need. A 7.5 for Tosin. It shall be Reece James. Now, I need to look at Reece's stats because, honestly, Reece did good, but I didn't really notice him that much. He had 35 out of 41 passes. Decent. Unfortunately, 0 out of 5 crosses, 1 out of 4 long balls, 1 out of 2 ground duels. Honestly, not great. I'll give Reece James a 6. I don't think he was special. I don't think he was fantastic. But I don't think he was bad. And obviously, he only played the first half, of which the first half an hour, the whole team was pretty damn poor. So I don't think it's too much to moan about. I will maybe then take just Reece out and replace him with Badiashile for Badiashile's rating later, because I can do a bench, but I can't give a rating for the player that came off the bench. Now, Marco Correa is, again, a very interesting one, in my opinion, because he was obviously crucial in setting up the goal that we scored, which was really, really brilliant. In terms of, I can't remember who played the long ball to Cuckoo. Would be really interesting to know that. Maybe I'll have to go watch the goal back. If someone knows who played the over-the-top ball to Cucurella initially, who laid it back to Gittens, who then crossed it into the box for João Pedro to the far post. Cuckoo was good at that. There was a few other moments where I wasn't that happy with Cucurella by his very, very lofty standards, by being the best left-back in the world, in my opinion, or at least one of the best 2 left-backs in the world. Yeah, I think I'll give him a 6.5. I think he was better than Reece, obviously involvement in that goal and more so and more other scenarios as well, and just providing a lot of threat. Maybe I need to give him a 7 though. Nah, I need to still give him a 7. It's just for his own standards. I didn't think it was that great, but it still is a 7. I think it still is a 7. He was so crucial in helping us break their low block or break them down and finding gaps to score. So yeah, I need to give him that. But now we get to my clear man of the match. I give him a 9 out of 10. I don't quite give him a 10 out of 10, but I give him a 9 out of 10. My very clear man of the match today. Absolutely phenomenal, Andrey Santos. Absolutely what a performance. Honestly, he's not even a real number 6. And I often think that's obviously why we bought Dario Isugo to be kind of the backup to Caicedo, while Andrey Santos was more meant to be the backup to Enzo Fernandez. But Andrey Santos can do it all. And what a game. Obviously, 81% pass completion is very strong as well. The shots, we don't need to worry about so much. The long balls, he keeps it simple. He certainly keeps it simple in this scenario. But 5 out of 7 ground duels, 2 out of 3 aerial duels, 4 interceptions, 4 recoveries, 4 clearances, 3 tackles. Absolutely brilliant. 1 block as well, which was a fantastic block. A header clearance in there as well. Never dribbled past once in the whole entire game. Was fouled twice, only committed 1 foul himself. Absolutely outstanding performance. And I'm so happy with him and I'm so happy for him. Honestly, Andrey Santos was very early. It was very clear to me that he would be a top player very early from his time at Strasbourg. Honestly, I say from his time at Strasbourg, it's not even true. Andrey Santos was very clear that he would be a top player from his very first preseason with the club. Under Pochettino, that first preseason, even though he went out on loan in the end, I thought initially it was so clear that he was such a top player, such a good player. And I hope we can keep this up. I hope we can keep playing like this when he gets the chance, because we need to be able to rest and rotate Caicedo. And when Andrey Santos plays like that in Caicedo's absence, the better, all the better. The Demonent says, what I love about Santos is he smells the danger. Yep, so many clearances when our centre-backs were out of position. Santos is always back to cover. Yes, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. He just, like you said, he smells the danger. Like the amount of times that, like you say, defenders were dragged out of position and you could see him seeing it from a mile off and sprinting his lungs out, his guts out to get to that to get to that position, to get to that spot, block the cross, block the shot, get a tackle into, like win us the ball. Absolutely phenomenal performance. But he was also good offensively. Like he won the ball high up in pressing on a couple of occasions, set up that Pedro Neto chance in the second half where Pedro Neto hit the post after a great save from Debrief, and a really good effort from Pedro Neto as well. So yeah, Andrey Santos, my very, very clear man of the match. And how crazy is it that we have another so highly performing defensive midfielder, by the way, at least today, right? I'm already giving him to him. Andrey Santos gets the man of the match, therefore his 9 rating lights up in gold, which is very, very much deserved. We move on to Enzo Fernandez, and honestly, he's a close second for me, or not even, maybe not a close second, but a second in performance today. And I'm debating between an 8.5 and an 8 or an 8.5. Because I pushed Tosin up to an 8, to a 7.5, I need to give Enzo Fernandez now an 8.5. I think he warrants it. I think he needs to get it. He scored the goal at the end, which, made the last few minutes at least calm down and not be so nervy anymore. Because we got that 2-0 lead, it was essentially robbed of an assist. Should have had an assist for, I can't remember who. I say robbed of an assist. He could have had an assist for Neto. I think that chance that I just spoke about, where he hits the post, that was set up from Enzo Fernandez in the end after a good play from Andrey Santos. And there was another couple of occasions that he set up as well. So I think he did really well. Really well. Do you guys agree on Enzo Fernandez, by the way, that he had a good game? Obviously, also despite the goal, football giving him man of the match. Enzo created the most chances with 3 in the match, which is obviously very good. 26 out of 23 passes completed. Can't complain at that. Expected goals, 0.7. Expected assists, 0.05 is not that much, to be fair. Thought it would be more. 1 out of 2 shots on target, 1 out of 3 dribbles. 0 out of 3 cross, unfortunately. 0 out of 4 long balls is surprising to me. 3 out of 6 ground duels. I'll take that. 5 recoveries as well. You know what? Having 0 long balls and 0 crosses, I'm actually going to only give him an 8. But it's close to an 8.5, while Tosin 7.5 is close to actually being a 7. But I will give Enzo an 8, not an 8.5. Yes, that's what I will do. Next, I want to move on to Jamie Gittens. Very, very tricky one to talk about for me. Very, very tricky to kind of decide what do I do with that? What do I do with him? Because he had a phenomenal assist, a really, really nice assist for Pedro Neto. Honestly, I think his cross was actually aimed at Enzo Fernandez, not at Pedro Neto, but it doesn't matter. It was a nicely lofted and, twisted in ball into the box, into the danger area. So it was a great cross. And then he had 1 decent shot, which got deflected just over and 1 was a corner. But other than those 2 moments, I thought Gittens was absolutely woeful. But he completed the most dribbles, but that was only 2. You know what I mean? He was the most foul player as well, by with 3 times. But he had the least touches of any player that played all the 90 minutes, only 36 touches, 16 passes out of 24, which is not great. 67% is not great at all. 0 out of 1 shots on target, 2 out of 2 dribbles is at least decent. 5 out of 6 round duels I'm happy with, to be fair. 1 out of 1 aerial duel as well. I just think his decision making was just poor on a number of occasions. So because of that, but he still got an assist. I'll give him a 6.5. I'll give him a 6.5 just to not get an average 6. He did enough to get just over that. But That's what I'm giving him. Then I'll go to Pedro Neto, who I thought had a good game. Hit the post, scored a great goal. Like, that header was phenomenal. The assist from Gittens was already great, but the header was even that bit better from Pedro Neto. Really, really strong. Really, really good. So really, really happy with that. And yeah, in general, I thought he had a good game. He was trying to take his man on, trying to put the ball in the box. Nearly had an assist for Jamie Gittens as well, but the defender clearly, Kyle Walker, was cleared it nicely. I think Pedro Neto gets 8 as well. 8 as well. Scored, hit the post, could have had an assist. Yeah, 8. 8, I will give him. I kind of still want to put Enzo Fernandez a little bit higher, but I just don't think I can give Andrey Santos a 9.5, and I think Andrey Santos was the standout, so a whole rating above the rest is kind of justified, if I'm being honest, in my opinion, anyway. We move on to João Pedro. João Pedro. Now, João Pedro is a very interesting one. Not sure what you guys think about João Pedro. At the moment, I'm kind of struggling with him a little bit, if I'm being honest. He lost the most duels in the match today. Only 27 out of 26 passes. To be honest, not even that bad. 75% comp mode. 0 out of 2 shots on target. Had a successful dribble, to be honest. He had a couple of turns and runs that were decent. Accurate long balls. He had 1 at least. But 3 out of 10 ground duels is quite bad. 2 out of 2 aerial duels is okay, but 3 out of 10 ground duels is pretty poor. And just a lot of his, when he was trying to make a decisive pass, it was just so often not coming off. And it's kind of really disappointing, if I'm being honest. Like, it was kind of really, honestly, at very best, I'm not giving him that. I'm giving him a 6. I'm giving him a 6. I don't think he did bad, so he deserves anything under a 6. But I don't think he was good enough to warrant anything over a 6. No, I really don't think so. I really don't think so. And now we move on to Liam Delap, which is, again, a tricky one. I'll need to look at the stats, see if they tell me anything I didn't already know. 8 out of 11 passes. It's not a lot of passes, but, it's not too bad. But how long did he play? 67 minutes. Not a lot of passes, though, is it? Touches, 20 in that time. 0 out of 2 shots on target. Was never dispossessed, to be fair. Was offside once. Touches in the box, 4. 2 out of 3 ground duels. But then the bad one. 0 out of 5 aerial duels. 0 out of 5 aerial duels. I'm telling you something now. Whichever scout, whichever Twitter guy that knows what they're on about, or whoever just watched a couple of games of Liam Delap at Ipswich, they were all wrong. Everybody lied to us. Liam Delap is not strong. I don't know what he is, but he is not strong. He keeps losing every aerial duel. I've not seen him win a useful header at all. Most of the time, not even to try and claim a long ball, but certainly not in the box to try and score a goal. Absolutely woeful. Now, he did have a couple of good moments. Don't get me wrong. He had a couple of nice moments, a nice couple of turns where he kind of rolled the defender nicely and started a nice attack. There were a couple of those moments. But there was way too many others. There was moments where he didn't pass it to Gittens or Neto to his left and right. There was moments where he decided to shoot and just terrible efforts. Like, really, really poor. And honestly, we got much better when he was off the pitch. And I'm really not sure what I think of Liam Delap today. I don't think he was, like, shockingly bad, but I do think he gets just under 6. I give him a 5.5. I think it was just worse than João Pedro. And just not great. Now, obviously, he's still come back from a fairly significant amount of injury, and obviously he's only fairly recently joined the club. So we have to be, fair and give him a little bit of time and leave it before we become too critical. But yeah, this is at least my take. João Pedro was getting the ball in dangerous places, but the final ball was bad. Yeah, exactly that. João Pedro doesn't know when he wants to shoot or pass, so he takes a lot of touches. Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. I think he's kind of stuck in that, but this is, I think, the club is partly at fault for that. And the fact that signing him as a versatile forward, then turning him into a striker and making him the reason we get rid of Jackson for, and starting him as a striker for the start of the season, then Maresca says he's not actually that good of a striker, and now he starts playing at number 10, and we're realizing he's actually worse at that than he's a striker. So it's not really ideal. It's not really ideal. Now, let me quickly remove Reece James here so I can give Benoit Badiashile a rating 2. So we put Badiashile in. We also take Liam Delap out and put Marc Guiu in. I'm not really sure if Delap didn't come straight on for Guiu. Guiu didn't come straight on for Delap. I'm aware. There was another sub in between that. Let me just make sure I actually have the right subs. Malagusto essentially coming on for Liam Delap at first, but Malagusto was the one that in the end came on for. Well, at first came on for Delap, and then it was Marc Guiu that came on for João Pedro. So I guess we can change João Pedro as well to Malagusto, which obviously has to move the positions around a little bit. I will do it in just a second for you guys, though. So we move Badiashile to the left of the centre back 3, Chalobah to the right. Then we move Gusto into the right centre mid and Enzo Fernandez into the number 10, which is why he got the goal in the end, because he obviously played higher up. And obviously Marc Guiu up front. Now, let's start with Big Ben Badiashile. Obviously, great that he's back from his injury once again. Hopefully, he managed to stay fit a bit longer this time. 36 out of 39 passes. One time that I remember that he misjudged the ball. And honestly, Fleming for Burnley should have scored at that point, should have equalised, but didn't. Put it way over. So, we'll let him off. 1 out of 3 long balls. 1 out of 1 aerial duels, 0 out of 1 ground duels. But honestly, that shows you how dominant the second half was. We weren't really in many duels. Did okay. He played a full half, so I have to give him a rating. And because of that, I will give him a 6. I don't think he did enough to only get a 6.5. A 5.5. So I'll give him a 6. Malo Gusto could have scored. Also gave the ball away. I'll give him a 6 as well. I'll keep this one quite simple. No need to overthink it. But the guy I want to highlight, the guy I want to speak about in a second, I'm just looking at Gusto's stats. 10 out of 13 passes, 1 out of 1 shot on target, 1 out of 1 ground duel, 1 out of 1 aerial duel. Yeah, honestly, maybe even a 6.5. Maybe even a 6.5 for Malo Gusto, because I think it just helps us with legs. So I'm giving him a 6.5. And Marc Guiu, like someone said earlier in the chat, maybe I need to scroll back all the way to this message. Actually, I will go all the way straight to it. From RC, much earlier in the chat, much earlier in the stream, Guiu embarrassing Delap, how it's done, bullied centre back, and had composure to pick Enzo out when Delap didn't even bother to make it, making a simple square ball to him when Enzo Fernandez was all alone. Absolutely brilliant. Guiu was good off the bench, good run and assist for the goal. Yes, exactly. Guzea says, not good in the air, but he grew into the game, used his physicality well a few times. Yeah, a few times, but very few times, compared to how many times he didn't, how many times he did. I think, he certainly didn't more often than he did. And that is a little bit disappointing, is all I will say. That's all I will say. Guiu was good off the bench, though. Was very good. If I have to give Guiu a rating, which I have decided I will give him a rating, I shall give him 7.5. I just give him a 7.5 because that is a great assist, great physicality to get past the man, great pace to get past the man. And like the comment from RC says, great composure to get the ball back across to Enzo, see him know where he's going to be, have the strength to play the pass the way he wanted to play the pass. I'm very happy about it. I'm very, very happy about it. Honestly, I was just talking to my brother before today's game. What even happened to Guiu? Why is he never to be seen? Honestly, a similar situation to Josh Achampong. Why is he never to be seen again now? Just Tosin was injured. We saw Achampong a few times, played really well, and now Tosin's back. We don't see anything of Josh Achampong. It's a bit sad, but obviously today Tosin did well, so you can't moan about it too much. In the end, I'm really happy. I'm really happy in the grand scheme of things. Have any remote games around us already started? Liverpool already playing, still 0-0. Let's see how they're going to do. West Ham already leading Bournemouth. So Bournemouth in the process of dropping down the table, or already have been, but also even more so now, I suppose. Looking at the table now, obviously Arsenal to play Spurs tomorrow. Could be points dropped, could be that we go within 4 points or maybe even remain within 3 points of Arsenal, like we are now, with obviously a game played more. Man City playing Newcastle, I'm very confident City will win that game, I can't lie. So I think we will drop back to third, but let's see what Sunderland do. They're playing Fulham away. It's going to be an interesting game. I reckon Sunderland could get something. Certainly a point at least. But yeah, if Liverpool could drop more points, that would be obviously great. Would put us in an even better position to get, third at least in the league. But yeah, obviously only 27 minutes played, so can't read into it too much just yet. At the same time, in terms of how I said, I want Arsenal, would rather Arsenal to lose than Spurs to win, obviously. But Spurs are also not that far behind us. You know what I mean? Like before the game, Spurs were only 2 points behind us. So maybe a draw would be best, so we can stay a nice 4 points ahead of Spurs and only a nice 4 points behind Arsenal before playing Arsenal ourselves, although it would obviously be great if we could overtake Arsenal by beating them next week. That would be unbelievable. Now, would we beat them? I don't know. I'm not really sure how confident to be about that, but imagine. Because if Arsenal lose today, then there is a chance by beating them that we go above them. Because obviously, as you can see, our goal difference is currently +3 worse, or 3 worse than theirs. But if they lose, theirs will go down to +14 or +13, say. And then if we beat them again, they lose again. So, we could overtake them goal difference as well. Imagine if we could go top of the league next week. That would be unbelievable. Now, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We just beat Burnley, but now we still have to play. We still have to play Barcelona. We still have to play Arsenal next week. So a lot of big games coming up, a lot of difficult games coming up. So let's not overdo it. Let's not overdo it at all. Don't know what's happened, but here we are. Why did I not even start this, by the way? That makes no sense. Did I do this? No. Connect your encoder to go live. My encoder is connected. Thank you, YouTube. I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't really know what else we can think about right now. Now, sure, could I do a little watch along? Oh, did Liverpool just score? No. Wait, I'm biased. Sorry, I thought Liverpool were playing Bournemouth. No, Liverpool are playing Forest. Red badge. But Bournemouth certainly dropping off the league table now. And remember a couple of weeks ago when they were like second or something? Now they're starting to lose games. Obviously, would be 2 losses in a row now. But yeah, there you go. Honestly, I'm not really sure what else we can discuss, guys. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. Actually, I'm sure there's a couple of post-match thoughts. Man of the match for Andrey Santos, which is nice. Let me see. I haven't seen any quotes yet. Let me see if Chelsea Dodgers has posted any quotes. Yes, they have. Fantastic. So, guys, to finish it off, we'll get through some of the quotes from Enzo Maresca, and then we'll move on from there. So, let me open that up for you. The first bit from Enzo Maresca is, it was a tough game for many reasons. After the break, Burnley away, this type of pitch, we need to manage players. It was a tricky game, but the way the players competed, another clean sheet. They didn't have one important chance in the second half. We deserve to win the game. And Mr. Maresca, I can only agree. We certainly deserve to win the game. Enzo Maresca, no Caicedo. I won't do it anymore. Trust me. Andre's position is the position he played today. Usually with us, he goes higher up because we have Moy, but we needed to find a solution. He was very good. Also, Jamie Gittens was very good. Interesting. I won't do it anymore. Andre's position is the position he played today. That's interesting. That Andrey Santos, in his opinion, is mainly a 6. Because I think Andrey himself and most people see Andrey more as an 8, which is very interesting. Jamie Gittens also interesting. He defined him as very good. I didn't think so, but there you go. Make of that what you want. Enzo Maresca on enjoying managing Chelsea at the moment. I'm very happy since I joined the club, not just in this moment. If you lose 1 game, it's a crisis. If you lose 2, it's a huge crisis. We expected a Burnley back 5 today, but they went back 4, so we had to change and adapt after 20 minutes, which you certainly could see. In the game. And it's interesting that for once it was the other way around. Because a few games recently we expected back 4s and then we're surprised by back 5. While in this case, it was the other way around. But this so often happens, guys. This so often happens to us that we just, that's why it's so often that we have a bad first 20, 25 minutes until we change things and then it starts to be better instantly. Because we have a good manager that knows what he's doing. Enzo Maresca on spreading the goals around the team. We work on some patterns for sure. I prefer the 5 players at the front to score 10 to 12 goals than have a striker to score 40 goals. I like the winger scoring, giving assists like me today. We work on some pattern to create some chances for attacking players, which is obviously good. Enzo Maresca and Liam Delap waiting for his first Premier League goal. Be patient, no doubt goals will arrive. Liam is the type of striker where you as a defender is always worried. At the moment, I don't feel too worried if I'm a defender, but there you go. Maresca on the first goal against Wolves. Cuckoo was inside the box when we scored the goal today. Again, it's part of the game, part of the plan. The important thing is that they are all aware. Yes, and I hate it when people say, I hate it when Gusto is in the box. I hate it when Cucurella is in the box. It works this way, guys. It works, and we know what we're doing. Maresca on confidence on the pitch. We are confident. We are doing well. Today, we could have done many things better, no doubt, but in the end, it was important to win the game, and we are confident. We are confident. Reece James on Reece James up. It was planned. That's the reason he played 45 minutes. Great news. Nothing to be concerned about. Different type of game today, but huge win. But a huge win. Another step in the right direction. Thanks to the traveling fans. P.S. I'm all good. Thanks for your concern. See you on Tuesday. I'm glad you're all good, Reece. I'm glad you're all good. Is there anything else, João Pedro?
Play of the match.
Very good. Very, very, very good. And very, very, very much deserved for Andrey Santos. Very, very happy. But on that note, guys, I think it's about time I wrap it up, to be totally honest with you. Because I've got a podcast to record later on as well. And yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday to talk about the Barcelona game. Of course I will be. By the way, my apologies for there not being a stream after the Wolves game. But I had a friend round visiting from the UK. Big up, Ollie, if you ever see this. Big up. So I went to the pub to watch the game. And I was like, it's international break now. No one cares the day after. It was Wolves. But it was a great game. We won the game 3-0 and I was buzzing. So, yeah, really happy. 3 games, 3 wins in a row in the Premier League now. Can we keep it up against Barca? Can we keep it up against Arsenal? I'm going to make my predictions now for those games. Just decided that on the spot. Barca, I think... My first thought was 2-2. Well, my first thought was 1-1, but then I thought, no, actually 2-2. And then I'm like, shall I just say 2-1? Do I think we could? I do think we could. So I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea against Arsenal, who I think are stronger than Barca. I'll say 1-1. It just feels like a draw to me. But honestly, as much as I want to beat them, I'll take it if we don't lose. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Not many of you left, but hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That would be massively appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And I will see you next time.